Welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. Saints had their roster cut down today. We're going to talk all about that. They named the QB1, and we are probably going to talk about that too, and see where things go from there for Spencer Rattler. What can he do well? Where are the pitfalls? What does it mean for Tyler Shough? All that and much more on today's episode. If you are in the market for a new car, make sure you go see Matt Bowers at one of his many dealerships. He'll get you the best prices, best customer care, and he will make you the best deal that you get. And if you are looking to celebrate your fandom beyond the field, Keesler Federal is proud to be the official credit union sponsor of the New Orleans Saints. They are a not-for-profit organization, which means when you walk in there, they're working for you, not for penny pincher Paul's bottom line or whatever it is. They're going to take care of you. They're going to be looking out for you, and they're going to be trying to put money into your pocket instead of theirs. So Keesler Federal, the official credit union sponsor of the New Orleans Saints. Today's first topic is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Probably my favorite store in the world, man. I love some Rouse's, man. They got the peanut butter machine. Go hit it up. It'll get you right. Take your PBJs to the next level. Question is, can Spencer Rattler take the Saints to the next level? Kellen Moore named him quarterback 1 today. Said they're going to stick with him. Said he's going to have a pretty long leash. Said he isn't going to have him looking over his shoulder. Said they're going to rally behind him. What's your biggest takeaway of this decision?
Well, my biggest takeaway, I mean, first of all, it didn't surprise me. It's kind of what I thought was the most likely outcome, especially during all the periods where Spencer Rattler was kind of playing better, which was probably the first 2 weeks of training camp and maybe the last week of training camp. There was a brief time in the middle where I rethought and thought, oh, could Shough pull this off? But look, this always seemed most likely. It seemed to be playing out this way on the field. It always made sense from a perspective of when is the right time to start Shough. But from a Rattler's perspective, the one thing that was new information for me today, or the biggest thing that stood out for me today, was when Kellen Moore was explaining his decision. He had a really interesting line on Spencer Rattler, and I think as we have talked about who's making big plays, oh, that touchdown might get him noticed, that touchdown might get him noticed, or that drive might get him noticed. And Rattler had a few kind of boring drives in the preseason games. He said he's taken a really awesome step in his decision making. He said he's an aggressive player, which is one of his superpowers. Kellen Moore always talks about players' superpowers. He says his aggression is his superpower, but he's done a really good job of balancing that and making good decisions with the football. So it's interesting to me that I think a big reason they came to this decision is the times that Spencer Rattler showed his willingness to hold back on the aggressiveness and just settle for some field goals and some punts sometimes, instead of going out there and making it be sort of like touchdown or turnover. So I'm really interested that they kind of saw Rattler as the safer, conservative, reliable, dependable choice in this mix. That was one new takeaway I had today.
I feel like the superpower thing's my fault. And I don't know if it was a coincidence with the owners meeting. I can't remember who I was talking about, but I was like, is that kind of his superpower? And then like he said it back like 3 times in that answer, and like it's just been there ever since. So I don't know. Man, I don't know. Like I don't know how you could. I don't. Okay, I don't know where to start this. I don't know. I don't really know how you could be like encouraged about anything that happened in the first half of a preseason game where they didn't score any touchdowns. They
Sure.
scored no touchdowns against, which is basically no touchdowns against defense 1 and 1.5, and maybe even defense 2 a little bit. That I think that's incredibly discouraging. And I think when it got to the end of the preseason and I realized I had literally not scored a touchdown against the first offering of 11 players that were put out on the field at any point, that was a moment for me where I was kind of like, man. But let's just stay away from all the pitfalls for a second and kind of talk about this through a different prism. I mean, I think one of the things that I'm excited about, and I think it's probably going to become a moment of despair at some point in the season, if we're being realistic, is the opportunity to evaluate each one of these quarterbacks. And I think just from like a football curiosity academic standpoint, like I'm fired up about breaking down Tyler Shough and Spencer Rattler and Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shough, and obviously starting with Rattler and seeing it in the real vision and the real what they're going to do to help him out. And we've seen some stuff in practices that I think could help a little bit. Some of that stuff they ask us to not give away like strategy trick plays, wrinkles, things that the Arizona Cardinals would want to hear about. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm excited about that. I think there's things that he does do well. I think there's things that he's going to do better. I'm excited to not have the question mark on him. I think we saw him go 0-6 last year. I think that there was a lot of evidence in different things, and I think some of the drawbacks are kind of evident. But I think that there's positives too. That obviously you could be the biggest hater or the biggest supporter in the world, but I think if you just take off the filter of whatever you're looking at it through, I mean, I think obviously there are question marks here, and there were obvious drawbacks to last year's situation. It's not making excuses, and it's not like projecting anything. It's just I want to see it without a cloud of anything on it, and I'm really excited about that. Starting with him. I I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna look like. I have concerns. I have concerns about both of them. And when it gets to the end of the barrel, I think you're probably reaching in and looking for somebody else maybe in next year's draft until somebody proves us differently. But I am excited to watch it. And my biggest thing for this season, just get to the end of it. And I want me and you to be sure. I want everybody that listens to this to be sure. I want Kellen Moore to be sure. Mickey Loomis, Kai Harley, Michael Parrington, Jeff Ireland, anybody, Randy Mueller, anybody that's putting their fingers into the pie, that's watching it, anything. I just want it to be so clear that we know whether they have a quarterback on this team. And getting a look at both of them, I think, helps get you there. Now, I got to take on this related to Shough not starting right away. We'll get to that in the next topic. But I mean, I think that's where I'm kind of out with it right now. Big picture take on Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, look, if your goal is to evaluate both of these quarterbacks at some point, this is the order you have to go in. Like, look, this does not mean you are determined to bench Spencer Rattler at some point. You don't have to be determined to bench Spencer Rattler at some point. If I think we said this on the previous show, if he starts out, 5-4 against this difficult schedule, cool. He can have the job all year. If he goes 8-9 or 9-8, cool. He can have the job all year. You've evaluated him and he's exceeded your expectations. I think the reality of it is that we know that they will have a losing record at some point, probably. They are touchdown or more favorite or underdogs in each of their first 4 games. So there will be opportunities to make a switch at some point. I think you'll be able to evaluate them. I think it would have been a lot worse if you just started with Shough and then had to decide, all right, when do we bench Shough and take our look at Rattler? This feels like the natural order to go in. And I do think we're going to see both of these guys start at some point this year. But Rattler is the one who can change that narrative. Rattler is the one who can exceed expectations and make it so there is never that opportunity to give him the hook. Like, don't ever lose 2 in a row and you'll never lose your job, honestly. I think that's a very tall order for him, but he gets that opportunity. But
To people, will people accept it if he goes into the season and he gets the first 4 games against 3 or 4 of the toughest opponents they have on their
yeah,
schedule? Do you think people will accept it if he doesn't play well?
people will accept it if he gets benched, you mean? Or
Yeah, the fan base, will they accept it?
it depends. I mean, I'd have to know how it looks. It is funny that he went 0-6 last year and still looked somewhat encouraging. We could see the exact same thing play out this year. He could be 0-4, but they could be way more competitive than expected against the Niners and the Seahawks uh, and the Bills, and be like, well, yeah, he's 0-4, but yeah, he's 0-10 for his career now, but it's not all his fault. I think that could absolutely be a discussion that we're having. But then, you know what? Then he can have a couple more weeks. And then we'll see, was it just the opponents? And if he's not winning at home against New England and the Giants, then he can get the hook after 6 weeks. But um, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's just they're just throwing him out there and they can't wait to switch to Shough. I think they want to take their time developing Shough. I think it's more about you don't want to throw Shough into that. You don't want Shough to start his career 0-4. Then you're really setting yourself up for a quandary if you do that.
Yeah, the thing, a couple of things. I think it's interesting. Like, I don't know if it's like purely wins or losses. Like, it could look encouraging and have a bad record, and they might be like, we want to stick with this a little bit longer and keep looking at it and see where it goes. But I think when you get to the end of the thing, the like my thing is with the quarterbacks. I think if you have to like go with like 800 qualifiers, like just
Yeah.
stop. Like it's just
Yeah.
you don't have the answer. Like
Yeah.
you don't talk yourself into an answer at quarterback. It's just yes, we have the quarterback. Like
Right.
there isn't much that goes into it. you can get to a level where it's like, is he top 10 or 12 or whatever? But if you're above that Jared Goff cutoff point, that's the only place to exist. And if you're trying to talk your way around it, well, if this happens and that happens, he could be and da 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 da. Like, no, man. Like, either you're in that fine category or not, and that's the only way to live. I thought Sean Payton had and I'm reluctant. Like, I don't like talking about people that aren't here anymore. Like, move on. But like the thing that was the ESPN guy that writes for great books. I'm spacing on his name. He has a quarterback book
Seth
coming out.
Wickersham.
Yeah, Seth Wickersham. Like, they had the excerpt of that, like the Bo Nix thing, and he had like the great quote in there. He's like, "No, I told them like I don't want the quarterback you like build the building around. I want the quarterback that builds the building." And like that's the God's honest truth. I mean,
Yeah.
there is so many. There are probably 800 head coaches in the NFL that could have been longtime NFL head coaches if they had just gotten the quarterback, but you don't get the quarterback, and then you just don't get to have a career. I think it's much more about the coach finding the quarterback than the quarterback finding the coach. Like, sometimes it works in the reverse, but I think there's a lot of coaches that are just kind of like at average level, and they get the right quarterback, and you can have a career because of it. And there's a few of them in the league now. There's many of them in the league now. And that's just kind of, there's only so many Ben Johnsons or whatever, like people that just kind of really truly elevate him. We don't know what Kellen Moore is yet. I mean, I think he's probably on that upper tier of thinker, but even if you're on that upper tier of thinker, if you don't end up with the quarterback, like, you can be in a very perilous situation quickly. So, um, I just say that to say that, like, it doesn't need to be a debate of viability. Like, it's a debate of greatness, but the viability aspect of it, I think, is extremely clear. Going to the next topic, presented by Strawberry Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Do you think this is discouraging for Shuck at all on any level, that like, just in terms of the broad picture of him, that he wasn't able to come in here and take this right away?
On some level, because it was painted as a competition between Shuck and Rattler, and you want your 40th pick in the draft to be better than Spencer Rattler. Obviously, like, if you look at the two and you say, oh, last year's 5th round pick was better than this year's 2nd round pick, that's discouraging on its face. But I
Let me
don't
let
think
me
it's,
let me let me let
yeah.
me just to clarify, like, because I like, when you say the word painted, like, you aren't suggesting that like, you mean it was a battle between the quarterback.
Well, no, not necessarily. I I think most guys picked where Tyler Shough are picked are not going to start right away. Like, Jackson Dart is not starting right away. Um,
You don't think that's vastly different, though?
uh, Only because, but I think some of this is Shuck ready or is Shuck not ready? Is it better to let him marinate or is it not? I just looked this up today, knowing this was a topic on the show. The last quarterback who was picked outside of the top 20 to start in week 1 was Deshaun Kaiser in 2017. Before that, it was Derek Carr, Dak Prescott. Before that, it was Derek Carr. Normally, rookies who are
Yeah,
picked
I
late
got you, but,
don't
like,
start week 1 as a rookie.
I got you, about how many fifth-round picks that went 0-6 the previous year get a chance to
Right.
start?
Well, it's not his fault that the other that the
What
competition
my but
wasn't a higher level, but
where I'm pushing back on you, though, like, I'm like, we absolutely just watched a competition play out for 6 weeks, like a real competition. It was
right,
never
right. But what I
so
mean is, it's not like Tyler Shough didn't have to win a week 1 starting job to like prove that he's going to be good. You know what I mean? Like, Pat Mahomes waited 16 weeks. Like,
yeah,
Lamar
but
Jackson waited a year. Drake May waited a year, like, or waited half a year. Like, I always thought, I would have thought it was a surprise. Like, wow, the 40th pick in the draft won the job and is going to start week 1 as a rookie. That, like, never happens. Like the last time it happened, like I said, was Deshaun Kaiser. The last time before
yeah,
that,
but
Dak
again, though, like,
Prescott.
you
Like,
don't think it's unique, though, that the only
of
quarterback
course
on the
it's unique.
roster is
Of
a
course it's
fifth
unique.
round pick that went 0-6? Like, that's
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
this is a one of one situation, literally.
It
A
is.
one of
It is.
one where nobody's ever won a game before. So,
It
I mean,
is, but it's rare for.
I think we have to talk about it, though, within the context of like this and not like what's happened anywhere else. Because, like, this is a one on this is a one on one.
But I'm just mean that sometimes you can even be a very, very special quarterback like Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and coaching staff still decided is not the best thing to give you a month of training camp and then say, good luck, and throw you in the deep end of the pool. You know, more times than not, you want to give time to develop, time to sit back in the shadows, time to see how the NFL works, and then put you in an advantageous position. Now it's time to give you your first shot. Like, so I guess what I'm saying is I don't think it was just the only way Tyler Shough could prove he's a good quarterback is to prove he's ready to start in week one of his rookie year. Yeah, he needs to be better than Spencer Rattler, but he doesn't have to be better than Spencer Rattler by being ready to start week one as a rookie. The question is painted as, is this discouraging for Tyler Shough? It's just the natural timetable of guys drafted where Tyler Shough is that you need more time in the oven. And Spencer Rattler, I think, is the guy who happens to be here. If his name was Jacoby Brissett or Taylor Heineke, or if he is a sixth-year backup instead of a second-year backup, if he was Gardner Minshew instead of Spencer Rattler, I think it's still all about Shuck's timetable. And I didn't think throwing Shough in week one is the best thing for his development. So I don't think it was
Yeah, that's fair.
just I don't think it was just that Shough couldn't beat out Spencer Rattler. It was that Shough didn't look ready to be one of those rare guys that started in week one of his rookie season.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I just think the idea that it wasn't like a real battle. Like
Yeah.
I don't like like I watched the battle and I thought it was kind of close, like start to finish, and
No, I
we saw
agree.
him
I agree.
rotate
I said
reps
that
and
wrong then. Yeah, I
yeah,
said
yeah,
that wrong then. Yeah. But I mean, I think Shuck's battle was, how ready are you? Like, do you look like I mean, Kellen Moore was there when Dak Prescott started as a rookie, and he's seen it. But I don't think it was a battle in the sense of like, one guy starts, one guy gets cut, all of the marbles. I think a lot of the Shough evaluation is this, is it the best thing we can do for this guy to have him play against Arizona, San Francisco, Seattle, and Buffalo right now, or is it better for him to be a guy who sits back and wait? And 9 times out of 10, coaching staffs choose to sit back and wait. I don't think that means he failed his audition. He's not as good as they thought when they drafted him. I don't think we can jump to all those conclusions yet.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, look, I do think it's vastly different though. Like, and I think anybody looking at it should look at it differently than like Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith, a #1 pick in the draft that was
Yeah, yeah, of
a
course,
playoff quarterback, and then Lamar Jackson was behind the Super Bowl champion and Joe Flacco, a guy that
of course.
in the what's the word they say, nascent days of the internet, that like one of the first like big football social media debates
Yeah,
was whether or not Joe Flacco was an elite quarterback after what he threw like 11 touchdowns and no picks in that playoff run or
yeah,
whatever. Like that, those are vastly different situations, and you're afforded patience. It would have been the same thing, very not very similar, but it's similar to like if the Saints had gotten Mahomes, like he probably sits behind Breeze for a year or two, like in that situation. Like I
yeah,
think that's a lot different than, well, okay, they drafted this guy, and the understanding is that this other guy's here and it's a developmental prospect. I think very truly in a reaction that was widely spread, and I think there is some merit to it, is the idea that, man, Derek Carr's own brother said it in a video. Like when they drafted him, they got a guy that's ready to play, and this is
yeah.
when Drew
Now
was
that is also a very valid point.
when Carr was still like, up in the air, but we knew about the injury. Whoa, well, Darren or David Carr said like they drafted a guy that can come in and play right away while Derek recovers. Like that was part of the thought process behind it. He is an older guy, and yeah, I mean, I just think it's fine though. Like I get the rest of the point though. I agree with, like, I do think there is some element of disappointment though, and I think it would be crazy not to address that on some level. That like if you are bringing in a guy that you think could be the future of your franchise, you want the path to the starting job to be kind of easy when you're going against a fifth round pick that lost 6 starts the year before. Like you're hoping that, and when he's 26, 27 years old, you're hoping he comes in and blows the doors off it and runs away with it. And leading up to this, my take was like it would be a little disappointing if he isn't able to do that. I think as you sit here today, it is a little bit disappointing. But do I think that defines the next 7, 10, 12 years of his career? I don't. I mean, I also think I've also like felt like, well, yeah, somebody could start week one, but it doesn't mean they've won the job. I think we
Right,
need 18 weeks to see that. And I think
right.
we could get to the end of this and nobody wins the job. But I do think it's what you said. I I just don't I don't necessarily I don't necessarily think that he's ready to be thrown to the wolves. Is just, really, really where it's at. Now the flip side of that I've seen a lot of people make the argument, and it's impossible to push back against it, is like, well, Bo Nix went out there and looked terrible, and he struggled, and he learned, and
Yeah,
you play your quarterback this year so that you can win next year. And it's like, yeah, I kind of get that argument as well. But if you tell me, if Kellen Moore doesn't say a lot at the podium, but if he said, hey, look, we're going to put him on ice for 5 weeks because we think if we get 5 weeks plus the next two or the next one, which is 6 weeks, and in 6 weeks, we think he's going to be a vastly different quarterback, and we can teach him how to do this, and this better, and he'll get these reps. Yeah, fine, okay, whatever. Like I'm fine with that explanation. I think that's ultimately probably what it is. I think that's how we see it play out. I agree with you that I think we get to see both of them. I just hope that we see Tyler Shough for like 12 games because I think you can be fooled by 5 or 6. I
no,
think it has to be that. Unless Rattler looks amazing, man. And then it's just
yeah,
like, whatever, who cares? Like, then you just throw it away and it doesn't matter. But so, yeah, Rattler has a chance to win this. I think it's a little bit disappointing. You want the story, you want you found the gem, you want all that stuff. It's just not the reality of the situation. But I don't think that defines him. And I think there's always been a little bit of merit to the idea of like holding him back. And if you are going to play both, like you said, I don't think you can't take Shough out for Rattler if you start if you start with Shough and you got to take him out for Rattler, it's a disaster.
then it's really bad for his development. Yeah, and look, when I look back at the example, I mean, obviously Michael Penix sat behind Kirk Cousins last year. I think the best comparison from recent history is Drake May. I don't think anyone thought Drake May couldn't beat out Jacoby Brissett. It was they chose to decide when to put May in there.
That was a
Um,
decision made by a guy who didn't get a second season as a head coach.
That's true, but we've seen that over time. A lot of times
Yep.
people choose when to start their. Now, again, I don't want to take anything away from Rattler because I think Rattler did win this competition. Like, if you want to give a grade to their performance alone and say this is based solely on how you looked in July and August, Rattler deserved this too. Rattler went out and did some good things. But yeah, I mean, when Shuck's ready, they have to take a look at Shough this year. They have to because they need to decide whether to draft him. The best thing Rattler can do is not only hold on to his job, but win enough games so that they're not in position to take a quarterback in the top 3 next year.
It, for me, it was close enough that if he came out here and today and said we're starting Tyler Shough, I wouldn't have been
Yeah,
surprised in the least. I don't know that I feel like anybody wanted or deserved it or like this guy has to be the week 1 starter. I wouldn't have felt like anyone got screwed. I wouldn't have. I think you could have went either way with this thing. And there's things that Shough does that I think might give you a better chance to win early on, and there's things that I think Rattler does that I think probably give you a chance to win early on. And if you wanted to go from either side, like I could see a win being framed in the context of Shough, and I could have saw a win framed in the context of Rattler. I don't feel like Rattler blew him out. I felt like when
no,
we
not
watched
a
these
blowout
games,
at all.
it felt very, very even. And even after the last game, there was a moment of pause where I was like, are they going to flip this? Like,
Yeah,
because like there's this thing like I think when Shuck's out there, like there's things he does that raise the possibility. It feels like some air goes in the balloon. And with Rattler, it feels kind of like a little bit tighter. And it's just the truth. Like I think you see the ceilings when they play. But either way, I'm excited to see them both. Like I kind of want to know on both, and I kind of want everybody to know on both because
yeah.
when this is done, I just don't want there to be a debate anymore. Like I'm so tired of the debate.
I hate to tell you, there will be Saints quarterback debates probably for the next decade,
I
unless
hope not though, because
unless they land a generational quarterback at some point.
you don't realize how much peace there is when people are happy with the quarterback and the
Uh,
coach. It's a thing that I never realized how much fighting there is about just. I mean, look, there's been some non-answers on this team over the last 5 years, and like the fighting over those guys versus like, and it's just like, man, like he ain't the answer. Like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we going at this like this? Hopefully, one of these guys is. We'll find out. If not, Arch plays Saturday. Nussmeier plays Saturday. Klubnik plays Saturday. Sellers plays Sunday. Virginia Tech. Drew Aller's going against Nevada. I'll be watching. We're gonna hit a quick break and we'll be back. The Ochsner Orthopedics Walk-In Clinic is now open. Located at 1201 South Clearview Parkway, across from the Elmwood Shopping Center, this clinic provides convenient same-day care for a variety of orthopedic and sports injuries. No referral or appointment needed. Whether you need care for strains, sprains, fractures, sports injuries, or muscular pain, the team of orthopedic specialists offers care for patients 5 and older. Open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
For fans of saving money. For fans of big rewards. For fans of getting more for your money. There's Keesler Federal, the official credit union of the New Orleans Saints. Saints fans, open your free high-earning checking and see what it's like to get better rates, better returns, and better service. Join a winning team. Keesler Federal, the official credit union of the New Orleans Saints. Membership and credit eligibility required. Federally insured by NCUA.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. I don't play favorites with our sponsors on the show, but one of my favorites for sure is RV Masters. You guys have been watching our show lately and you've seen our awesome new van. That thing is decked out. And the best part about it is I took it up to RV Masters and I was like, this is what I want to do, but I had no idea how I wanted to do it or how to get it done. And they took care of it from start to finish, brought me out for updates, were giving me new ideas, and they made it exceed my wildest dreams. And they will do the same thing for you. RV Masters offers full service RV, motorhome, and travel trailer repair. They have preventative maintenance and service packages for your RVs, your AC, your generators. They specialize in solar and lithium upgrades, satellite TV, and Starlink. They'll take care of you if you get into a collision. Whatever you need, they got you. And I can speak from experience because they definitely had us on our new van. I cannot vouch for anyone more than I vouch for RV Masters. RV-masters.com. Go check them out. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Shough Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. At Shough Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Shough Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Shough. That's 504-326-6526. Shough Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide flavored whiskey, Ponchatoula strawberry, and Chilton County peaches in your favorite bars, stores, and restaurants. Hardhide Chilton County Peach Whiskey is a blend of aged wheat whiskey, light American whiskey, and fresh Chilton County peaches from Alabama's Durbin Family Farms. And Hardhide Strawberry Whiskey tells the story of a small town famous for strawberry farming. A delicious natural strawberry-infused 86-proof whiskey for whiskey lovers. Just look for the red and orange bottles in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. Welcome back to NewOrleans.Football. Our next topic is presented by Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant. Roster cuts, 53. Team is set
Busy
for a
day.
day or two. I don't. What's the biggest takeaway? What was your number one takeaway?
Number one takeaway. Well, it was funny. I had been having conversations with you, with other people. Like, I thought tomorrow they would end up adding an offensive tackle, maybe a couple offensive linemen. They didn't even wait. They had to add to that offensive line today with the trade for Asim Richards. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Which I think was a pretty solid solution to their problem there. But I mean, that was the thinnest position on the entire roster. And then they kept at their deeper positions. Ray John Wright, which you and John got right on the 53-man roster predictions. They kept the young linebackers in both Jalen Ford and Isaiah Stallbird. They kept a bunch of defensive players. Ended up being 26 to 24 on defense. They kept the talent where they had the talent.
I'm not gonna lie. We did like a sleeper segment a while ago, like early in camp, and Ray Jean was like my guy, and he had me like holding my breath for because like right after that, like Rico Payton got like red hot.
Yeah.
And Rico Payton getting hurt might have helped open the door. I feel like Wright might have been taking it though. But I don't know, the special teams aspect of that could have changed the equation. But Rico Payton, really good player. I think he'll get a chance somewhere if it isn't back here. Probably get an injury settlement, has a hamstring. We'll kind of see how that goes. Torselli Simpkins was another guy that we kind of saw early on, and he ended up making it. I think he has like legitimate upside. I'm glad he made the team, and I don't know that one's necessarily due to like a lack of whatever, a lack of talent, lack of depth. I think he's a guy that even on a good team, you'd probably want to try to find a spot for him to work with him a little bit. Maybe you're able to hide him a little more on a different circumstance, but I think he earned his reps, and I like that this is a staff that leans into that stuff. It's a good thing. Going to the trade, I agree. I mean, it was a must trade. Like that was a holy crap, that was a disaster. Like, what happened to their depth on the offensive line? Like,
Crazy.
the depth, like, guard to guard is probably the worst I've ever seen. And then, like, literally, OT, like, they don't have anyone that could stand in place if someone went down. It would have been Raiden's probably, but, like, that hasn't looked great when he's played tackle. So, absolutely a trade they had to make. What was it, a 28-7th for a 6, a little pick swap that far away? Like, we'll forget that even happened up then. I mean, this guy probably won't even be on the team at that point, but it's an absolute. You have to have a tackle that can stand in
I can't
and
believe you can
block.
trade 28 picks. Like, why even bother doing it at that point?
It's just like the Cowboys are like, yeah, just like let us get something for something we cut. And then I think the Saints, what are they, ninth on the waiver priority, I believe. So they probably decided like this guy wasn't going to get to him, or they wanted to make sure they had their pick a tackle, and that was the guy they wanted. It makes sense to me. This isn't one of the like, why are they trading future assets thing? Like, literally, like your quarterback will die if there is an injury for a snap. Like if somebody like pops a cleat and has to leave the field to like get a new pair of shoes on, like your quarterback might have died. Like literally, like you're putting them at risk. Like that had to be done. So, any what's your biggest trouble spot? What's the one position you're like, well, let's flip it. What's the one position you feel best about? Linebacker? We're both a linebacker.
I mean, maybe I like Jalen Ford and Isaiah Stallbird are great stories because they came from the bottom of the depth chart to go up. But all of a sudden, rookie Danny Stutzman and young backups Jalen Ford and Isaiah Stallbird are the only 3 backups on the team because they cut DeMarco Jackson and Nephi Sewell. Even though I bet those guys make their way back to the practice.
I want
squad.
that. I want that though.
Yeah.
Let the young guys cook,
Look,
man.
they
Like
did
sink or
that
swim.
everywhere. They did it at running back. Cam Akers and Clyde Edwards-Helaire both gone. They kept Devin Neal and Velus Jones. I
believe Clyde's coming back.
They already did. Yeah, I mean, guys not being on the roster now, obviously it could change very quickly when they're on the practice squad and then they're a game day call up. Look, they did it at where was I going to say, in defensive tackle when they let Colin Saunders go and they kept Christian Boyd. Like in general, there's sort of an encouraging trend toward it. And then both of the guys they did trade for this week are guys who are in the second year and third years of their rookie contracts. Like it's weird that they refuse to call this a rebuild, but all their actions keep telling us that yeah, they're willing to, in some small ways, be a little bit rebuilding.
Yeah, I think Vele is part of the rebuild. The tackle depth, I think he's just kind of a guy. Like, I
Sure,
think he's just
sure.
a guy. But
But
the
I
tight
like
end
that
too.
better. But I like that better than going out and being like, some team cut their 31-year-old journeyman starter, and now we're going to go sign him instead. You know what I mean?
And they kept the rookie tight end. I think that was something that was a little bit surprising. We'll get to that in the next one. Position I probably feel the worst about too, though, is probably tight end. I think it's a rough group until Taysom and Foster come back. Hopefully that's sooner than later. They're going to be a few weeks out at least. So what is it, 3? 3 or 4? What is it, Pop?
4 now.
4.
4
4.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're going to be without them for a while. So that's kind of the group. A little bit concerning there. Defensive tackles, like, fascinating to me, like, incredibly deep position. Like, they really built the hell out of that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Jonah Williams be one of those practice
For
squad
sure.
call up
Yeah,
guys.
for sure.
He's been with Staley going back to the Rams. So I think there's a chance of that overall. If Vele is good, I feel pretty decent about the talent at wide receiver. The availability throughout the season, health wise, I think determines whether it's good or bad. I don't think the talent will.
Yeah.
If Vele is who he is on that Broncos film, like, we can disagree about the direction of the investment or putting into this team or whatever it is. The tape is very, very good. Now, I will say, like, we've seen wide receivers look good in, like, a Sean Payton offense and then not look good somewhere else. So you never know. Like, sometimes you get fooled. And man, they've been fooled by that stuff by other people before too. But, like, I think he has, like, actual real talent. And if he is who he is and that translates, like, I feel good about the talent at that position. I feel good about the talent at running back. Like, there's some pieces on this offense where if the quarterback can make it go, like, there's a vehicle to push a little bit. But we'll see.
Well, it's interesting you say feel good about the talent at running back. That, I think, really comes down to one guy, and it's how much better we probably feel, very clearly how much better this coaching staff feels about Kendry Miller than they did a month ago. Like, when they brought in Cam Akers and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and drafted Devin Neal, it was because Kendry Miller was a complete unknown. And I think he was one of the first people Kellen Moore mentioned almost unprompted after that last game. Like, you guys have seen it. Kendry Miller has come so far this summer and become a guy we can really depend on. So he's one of the real risers of camp that makes you feel better about a whole position group, because he's finally starting to deliver on his potential.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he's a great example of just, and it's not necessarily positive or negative, but, like, from individual to individual, how much coaching style can matter. I think there's some guys that really need to be pushed and some guys that just don't probably respond well to that. Like, I just think that you could just see the way on Kendrick Miller last year. Every single time you talk, it just felt like a guy that probably felt unwanted. And how could you not? Like,
Yeah.
it became like a national joke. People that didn't even know who he was were just like, wow, like, this guy
I
really
just heard
hates.
another Dennis Allen hate Kendry Miller thing in a fantasy podcast
Yeah.
yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. See what I mean? Like, it just stuck. Like, it was crazy. It was
Yeah.
a very intense thing. Going into the next group or the next topic presented by Aaron Rose, what's your biggest surprise? Is it Trayton Welch not being on the team?
That was my biggest surprise as far as, like, predictions go, as far as, like, when we made our predictions, the ones you feel good about and the ones you didn't feel good about, but only from the sense of Trayton Welch had started, like, playing with the ones and making a play every day in practice. Like, I didn't have him on my 53-man roster going into camp. He was just a standout at camp. I would say maybe one of the biggest surprises dating back to how I would have thought things were going to play out a couple weeks ago has to probably be Jake Haener. I mean, especially if he doesn't come back on the practice squad, just how abruptly it went from them calling it a three-way quarterback battle to a potentially, like, moving on permanently from a guy that's been such a ever-present part of this team for a while. Surprise might not have been the right word. We talked about the possibility, but just, like, the reality of it hitting, like, we might never see Jake Haener back in the building again. Maybe that won't be true. They've left the door open. I just wonder what he'll do.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Welch comes. I'm straight up, like, we watch practice, we watch them make plays every day. We watch them make some of the biggest plays in the preseason. We wrote stories about him. We talked positively about him
Yeah.
day after day after day. It was by far the biggest. It was the only shock really to me, like where it was like, wow, they cut this guy. Jake Haener getting cut really
Sure.
like it was like, wow, they actually did it more than like
Yeah.
I can't believe they did it. Like
Yeah.
Welch to me was like, holy shit, like they actually cut this guy. I didn't even really consider it as a real possibility. He was like on our list, and I'm like, they aren't cutting him.
Yeah.
Like I thought for sure he was on the team, and yeah, like that really surprised me. I was on the radio with Jake and Flynn, like, and we were Hesser, he's like, man, I just watched the game. Like, let's talk about something positive. I feel good about the tight ends. And I was like, man, I really feel like Trayvon Welch is a bright spot. And he's like, same. And I'm talking.
Wow.
And then as I'm talking, your tweet pops up on my phone. And I'm like, what? Like, they actually just cut this guy. And like, my head exploded a little bit. I was surprised by it. I would not be surprised though, like, if we sat right here, and I have no idea if they're going to bring him back or not. I don't know what they're doing there. This is the first time we've seen these people operate. I have no idea what their DNA is on roster moves or whatever. But I would not be surprised at all if he came back and they used him like 3 weeks in a row as an elevation, and in the rookie tight end that they kept is actually inactive and Trayvon Welch was actually playing. That wouldn't surprise me even in the least bit. It felt like they liked him a little more. When you look at it, like a guy that got drafted versus an undrafted guy, drafted guy probably has a little bit of heat on him around the league. If you caught him out coming off the rookie, fresh off a draft pick, somebody might claim him. Maybe they felt like Welch had a better chance. I don't know. We're going to see what it is. But that one really did shock me a little bit. Yeah, Haener was a surprise. I'm trying to think. I don't think anything. And I was looking at our 53s. I don't think there was anything that was like
Shocking.
super far out. Yeah. Rajon, we thought would make it. We kind of were like back and forth on some of the special team specialists, but they ended up playing out kind of how we thought they would.
Yeah, I mean, some of the surprise cuts, especially, I'll tell you what, if you could go back in time and talk to us 2 weeks into training camp, 3 weeks into training camp, and said they're going to cut Nephi Sewell, DeMarco Jackson, Jonah Williams, Terrell Burgess, we've been like, what? Those guys are all seeing snaps with the ones, through the first 2 weeks of camp. So we saw them steadily lose playing time as camp went on, but those are guys that I would have felt a lot more confident in a couple weeks ago. Those are guys who kind of gradually lost hold of their positions.
Yeah, by the end though, like I don't think we saw any of them making the team really. Like I had Jonah Williams and Clyde on, but then like in our little explanations or whatever is always that these guys could be like in practice squad call-ups. I was like flip-flopping between Williams and Burgess at DT when we did our last 53, and I think I had it flipped and was looking at like Burgess as the stick-around call-up guy, and Jonah was on, but like
Williams and Bullard.
Bullard, yeah. So like those two right there. But like Clyde was the same thing. As soon as Devin Neal played, it was like, well, he might end up being a practice squad call. Like those are classic guys that are like, spot 54, spot 55 on your team.
Dante Pettis probably falls in that category. 2 weeks into camp, he looked pretty safe, and obviously the Devon Vele trade changed the math on that too.
I wonder if he does stick around or not. That's going to be that's a fascinating one for tomorrow. All right, we're going to hit a quick break, and we'll be back with the question of the day. Big news from the home team, introducing our newest sponsor, the Mortgage Brothers. With over 30 years of combined experience, the Mortgage Brothers are the quarterbacks of home lending, calling the right plays to get you across the goal line. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a seasoned vet, they'll coach you through every down and make sure you feel like part of the team. They're backed by Cross Country Mortgage, the #1 retail lender in the nation, so there's no loan playbook they can't run. FHA, VA, conventional, RD, and more. They're lifelong season ticket holders, local guys who know the field and your market, and their online application takes less than 10 minutes. Why fumble your mortgage with some online lender who's never even watched your team play? Stick with the Mortgage Brothers, the trusted pros who play to win. Mention NOF and get $500 back in lender credit toward your closing costs. That's money back in your pocket when it counts. Visit mortgagebros.money and start shopping with confidence. Because with Mortgage Brothers, it's always no flags, no fumbles, just smooth closings every single time.
Slide into summer with New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood's new sliders. Get 2 each of cheeseburger, buffalo chicken, meatball, or chicken and waffles served with a side of garlic herb fries. Starting at $9.99 now at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
I got hurt in a car wreck. Why should I get Gordon? Because when you're hurt, you need money. And I fight for the people of Southeast Louisiana every day. I got a client who injured their neck in a car wreck, $250,000. Another client was hit by a big truck and needed back surgery. I got them $700,000, and they deserved every single penny.
That's what I'm talking about. Why wouldn't I get Gordon?
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, just call me, New Orleans. Get it done.
Call 504-800-8888.
You ever take a bite of something and immediately think, yeah, I'm coming back for this? Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant just added some new dishes, and man, they crushed it. The shrimp and crawfish pistolets, golden and stuffed with bold Cajun flavor. Fried oyster tacos, crispy, fresh with the perfect kick. And the soft shell crab Alfredo, creamy, rich, and absolutely worth the order. They're open 7 days a week, and they deliver late. Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant. Delicious food, superior service. Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street. Welcome back. It is now time for the Get Gordon question of the day, presented by Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you need help, make sure you get Gordon. And another reason you should get Gordon, he, there's a local lawyer that got red beans taken out of a place. My guy Devin went to try to get a play. Morris went online and said that he was the reason that they served white beans instead of red beans on Monday. You can't do that. Gordon is a red bean guy. I can say that with high confidence. All right, question today comes from Luke, good reader named Luke. He said, "Is it?" I'm gonna rephrase this. Is it crazy that they gave first team reps all throughout the summer, at least for a while in the summer, to a quarterback who ultimately did not earn a roster spot? I'll go first. You want me to go first?
You can go first because I have some thoughts, but you go first.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think they probably should have came to a decision a little bit quicker on that and lean more into it. I think they got to a point to it, but I did feel like it went on maybe a little bit too long, and I think they were just trying to do it out of fairness to everybody in the room a little bit instead of just being incredibly shrewd about it. There was definitely a point in camp where we were even standing around on the sideline and just like, why are they? Like, again, like you're doing this again.
Did he only get 2 days though, ultimately, or did he get 3?
He was rotating in a decent amount.
I bet if we look back in the notes, it was only 3 times max.
But there were even times he was going.
Any real preseason reps either. So they ended, and the scrimmage, he got the shaft, and the scrimmage was on the 10th day of camp. So I think he only got.
It was at least through the first preseason game. Like, and he was even getting, like, there was a day he got like second team reps and like Shough wasn't any rep that wasn't going to Shough, that was going to Hainer, and then you get to the end of it. That's not a good use of snaps to me. Like, there was definitely days where we were sitting out there and I was like, come on, man. Like, we know, and like going into the first preseason game, if we go back to a show, like I kind of shot Kellen Bale a little bit on it. It was like, well, I want him to be making his own decision on this, but like, stop now. And it still kept going after that point. Like,
no, look, I'm not defending it at all. The answer to the question is yes, obviously ridiculous. I mean, anything that was not a Tyler Shough rep in practice was a wasted opportunity to get the 40th pick in the draft as seasoned as possible. I think it's a shame. I mean, Rattler deserved to win this competition, but I think it's a shame Tyler Shough only got to start one preseason game. I mean, the preseason is when he needed those reps. So anything that went to Hainer, but it just dawned on me because I was the reason I hesitated at the beginning of the question is I was about to answer it. And then I realized, like, time moves so slow at the beginning of camp. On day 8 of camp, you feel like you've been there for 2 months, but Hainer didn't get any OTA or mini camp reps because he was hurt. And then I actually think he only was quarterback 1 on 2 days of practice because I think it was done by the scrimmage, which was the second Saturday of camp. He might have only done it twice, but it felt like it went way too long. And those 2 days, Shough went with the 3s, and I think it was ridiculous for Shough to ever go with the 3s.
Yeah, I think it was more than 2. I think it was definitely more than 2. But like, it wasn't. They hard they hard rotated him out at a certain point, but he got too many. Like, and there were days he was with the twos, and like it just like it wasn't like they were giving Shough threes and Haener two, and like Rattler was at least avoiding that. Which I guess if there was a little bit of a tell early on where they were leaning, I guess Rattler was avoiding that, like rotating down with the threes at times, but certainly, and like there was a hard exit on it at a certain point where it was still kind of like they were giving him a little bit, but not really, but like it was still there. But it was a very clear like, all right, they're pretty much done with him at this point in this competition.
Let me advance this question with one of my own. So, if Haener doesn't come back, I didn't see everyone who got cut around the league, but one name that stood out to me was Easton Stick because these former Chargers coaches coached him there, and I know they talked to him this offseason about the possibility of coming here. How do you feel about now that it's just Rattler and Shough in the room? Do you see value in bringing in a quote unquote veteran to help guide them along? Or are you glad they've never done that and you're still glad and please nobody ever block their path to playing time?
Well, that's the thing. Like, is he in there to be a clipboard jockey or is he there to compete and play?
I'm asking you what you want to see. I am of the no, please don't be one of these teams that's trading for Pickett, signing Carson Wentz, like all the people who are like shoring up their veteran backup position right now. Yeah, only if he is an older sage veteran mentor in the room. Please not to be the QB2 on game days.
Yeah, if it's a clipboard jockey, sure. If anybody ever takes a snap from Rattler or Shough, I hate it because yeah, I just like I'm not gonna get into the whole thing again and set off the YouTube comments, but like either you're winning with these guys or you're not. And if you're winning a game because of Easton Stick, come on, man. Like what? Like no way, no way. Like you got to find an answer at quarterback, and losing every game or whatever, winning every game, whatever. Like draft position does not guarantee success. But if your team is drafting a quarterback, you want them to have the option of choosing the one they want instead of being like, well, everybody's been chosen and this is the guy that's left and I have to have one, so I'm taking him. You want to feel like you are getting, this is the guy and look, Sean Payton got the guy he wanted and it was the fourth or fifth one taken in that draft. Like, so you don't have to, but typically, but you don't want to win an extra game because of Easton Stick and then lose your ability to choose the quarterback that you want, and you're still drafting in the top 7, but you're drafting 7 instead of 3 because Easton's like no, that would be something that I don't know that I would ever get over that. Like that would be horrible. That'd be horrible. Yeah.
And look, Easton Stick's a bad example because I don't think anyone thinks he could come in here and win games for you. This is probably more of a Jameis Winston conversation or whatever. But I'm just curious if you think that room needs a veteran presence now or not in the clipboard holding role that you're talking about.
If they did, I'd be so pissed about it because that was something that I thought they needed like at the beginning, and then they didn't do it. And it was like they need the big body receiver, and then they didn't do it, and then they do it after they look at it, and it's like, well,
we did need one.
This is looking a little rough. Like, why are you doing this now? Why didn't you do it earlier? You could have drafted one and not spent 2 picks on it. Like, those are things. And then, you even getting to this point. And but I don't think they will. Like, it was like 2-3 days ago that you just said, like, we aren't adding a vet to the group. So I'm fine with it, though, if it's a watcher, talker, holder, coach type person. I think there's value in that. And I think there would have been value in, like, it would just suck if they did it now because I feel like that level of mentorship could have maybe helped the development of your rookie quarterback through the process. And if you felt you didn't need it and now you get to this point and you're like, wait a minute, you do need it. Yeah, it could still benefit him, but it's like you just lost 3 months of him being able to call Sage Joe Flacco or whoever, whatever type of person you're talking about. It would bother me a little bit.
Yeah, I got it.
There'd be a change of direction.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. That it?
That's it.
All right. Talk to you guys next time.